The idea of immunotherapy has been an exciting concept in oncology. Can we find a way to turn the immune system on to fight cancer? A big challenge because a cancer that developed in somebody with a so-called competent or intact immune system is a cancer that is not recognized as foreign in the body. The immune system is geared to recognize foreign entities, and somehow cancers have evolved ways to get past the detection of our immune system. One way that happens is through the expression of something called PD-L1, and this cartoon in the top left is meant to represent the tumor cell. This protein, think of it as a switch that the tumor cell uses to camouflage itself from the immune cell, showed on the right there in blue, the patient's T cell or T lymphocytes. This interaction with this PD-L1 and the receptors on the T cell is increasingly better understood, and now there are drugs to target this interaction. So several drugs have emerged in the last 2 years to disrupt this interaction. One that I'm showing here in the cartoon is called anti-PD-L1. It's not a chemotherapy, it's an antibody to that protein. And in this cartoon, as shown in the bottom right, what it does is by turning that switch off, by binding to it, the immune system is allowed to recognize the tumor cell as foreign and then fight it. I'll just walk you quickly through drugs that are in development. This is just meant to show you there are several antibodies designed to target PD-L1 on the far right, or the receptor that PD-L1 tries to bind to turn the immune system off, called PD-1 in the middle, and on the left. This is just a partial list of companies that are in the process of developing drugs, as shown here. I'm just going to skip ahead to what I think is a key slide. Here's one example in the bottom left of an example of a patient with squamous lung cancer who received anti-PD-1 therapy. In the bottom left, we can see a mass in the lung, and if we go all the way over to the right, we can see that this patient, who's been on multiple chemotherapies before and is now just on this immunotherapy, received great benefit from this drug. I actually had patients on this study that was being shown here. There's increasing efforts to try to better understand who's most likely to benefit from drugs like this. And let me just say that the target PD-L1 appears to be present in squamous lung cancers, appears to be prevalent in adenocarcinomas. How prevalent is still not clear. This slide suggests it may be in 50% of patients with squamous lung cancer. I don't think we know that for sure now, but it doesn't appear to be something like 3% or 1%. It appears to be a relatively high number. And then this, I think, best summarizes the immunotherapy story. This is what's called a spider plot. This is meant to show on each line here a patient. So it goes across time to the right here. A patient, for example, in the purple on the bottom here that gets exposed to immunotherapy, in this case anti-PD-L1, but I could show you a similar curve or set of data for PD-1 targeted therapies. Patients can certainly get dramatic responses or shrinkage in the tumor, and we can see in this example here of a patient, this patient in purple here, where they've almost got about a 90% shrinkage in the cancer. There are other patients in green at the top who don't respond. Clearly, immunotherapy is not going to help them. The cancer grows right through it. But then there's a lot of patients in between who seem to respond, then the disease stabilizes, then they shrink some more. Other patients where perhaps the cancer actually grows before it starts to drop. And I know it's hard to get a lot out of a plot like this, but one gets the sense that there's a good number of patients who not only get shrinkage but prolonged disease control, and that's really exciting right now. I'm just going to skip ahead here and show you that on the far right here, this is just shown another way that many patients now are responding to these therapies and are staying on therapies for extended periods of time. So this is very exciting. I'll tell you right now, many of these compounds are in testing to try to get them FDA approved. I'm aware one of these compounds actually just yesterday finished its global enrollment. This is the anti-PD-1 nivolumab trial compared versus docetaxel or chemotherapy. So the idea here is if that drug can show that patients live longer with it compared with patients who receive docetaxel or Taxotere, hopefully that'll lead to that drug getting FDA approved. So that trial of several hundred patients just finished enrollment. That's exciting. In conclusion, we know squamous lung cancer represents a sizable portion of lung cancer. We see certainly larger in the southeast compared with other parts of the country like the west. We know that platinum doublet chemotherapy, I would say unfortunately, remains the standard first-line therapy. I say it like that because That's been the standard for over a decade now with the modern agents, and I think we're all desperate to do better than that. But there's reasons to be optimistic. There's a lot of excitement with genomic research. Literally every month or two, there's a new discovery made that hopefully will one day lead to the ability to test a patient for that target and identify a drug that perhaps can turn that target off. I didn't get a chance to even show you some of that work that's been shown recently with one target called DDR2, for example, another target called MET. And there's been early signals as well in immunotherapy. To me, that's one of the more exciting areas of development because we're talking about drugs that potentially are extremely safe, extremely well tolerated. They're not chemotherapy in the classic sense of the term, and drugs that can not only shrink tumors but keep patients with prolonged disease control. So very exciting about the prospect of those drugs one day being available, but obviously we have to wait to prove that those drugs are better than what our currently available therapies are.
Thanks for listening. If you like and learn from our GRACEcast, you can subscribe on iTunes by just searching for the term Cancer Grace, find podcasts in the subject you want, pick a format of audio or video, and then just click subscribe. It's that easy. And for those of you who don't want to miss any of our programs, there's even a feed for all subjects. You can also find us on YouTube at Grace for Cancer Info, and that's the number 4 in one word, Grace for Cancer Info. Finally, if you haven't been there yet, please check out our Grace website at www.cancergrace.org. And don't forget that donate button in the upper right. Our content, which helps tens of thousands of cancer patients around the world every month, is made possible by your support.